a Zac Robinson update that we got to discuss here on the channel. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trey Stroud. Hit that thumbs up icon, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. The New Orleans Saints have already interviewed the Rams pass game coordinator for the open offensive coordinator role in the boot. So, guys, before we even dive into Zac Robinson, before we dive into the news around the NFC South and some other impactful updates that do have an impact on the New Orleans Saints, I want you to shout them out for me. Who do you want to be the OC for New Orleans? Who's your top candidate? I need you to give them a shout out and let me know who your number one OC candidate is. And guys, I am so excited to bring on a brand new sponsor here at Saints Now by Chat Sports, and it is Tushy. Guys, Saints Now is sponsored by Tushy. Deep down, we all know that using toilet paper alone leaves nasty and smelly bacteria behind in our butts. Well, Tushy has finally made number 2 cleanup more hygienic and better for the environment. You now can have a fresh stream of water. It's the same water as you use in your sink or your shower to clean up your bum after every poop. Tushy's bidets are easy to set up on any toilet in under 10 minutes, and you can set your at-home bidet up and your life will change forever. I'm not even kidding. This product is life-changing, and if I'm being honest here, it actually feels pretty good. And for a limited time, our listeners and our viewers and subscribers get 10% off their entire order at hellotushy.com. Go to HELLOTUSHY.com and use code CHAT for 10% off. It's time to get rid of those skid marks once and for all. I love my Tushy, and it's great knowing not only am I taking better care of myself, but I'm also helping the environment. Toilet paper is expensive nowadays, so do yourself a favor, save some money, and start being more confident and clean with Tushy. Get that fresh out-of-shower feeling at hellotushy.com. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off if you use code CHAT at hellotushy.com. All that information in the comment section and description of this video. All right, so the team's interested in Zac Robinson. Here's the people or the organizations that have been rumored to be interested in Robinson. The Chicago Bears did interview him, but they went ahead and hired Shane Waldron, The New Orleans Saints did get an interview in with him. Waldron ultimately decided to go to Chicago, where he could either have Justin Fields or Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. And there's also buzz around the New England Patriots, the Saints, and then the Steelers and the Raiders recently are also teams that are rumored to be interested and have requested interviews for Zac Robinson. Now, here's my thing on this. I think that Zac Robinson is a pretty good idea, and I think that he would be a home run hire. He made one aging veteran quarterback look really good. Think he could do it again with Derek Carr? Because Carr and Stafford, they're both, seasoned vets. They're both well-respected guys in the league, and at the end of the day, they both found success. Obviously, Stafford more recently finally getting his Super Bowl ring. But outside of that, in the Rams, in Detroit, he was a really good quarterback. He comes over to L.A., Shane Waldron gets his hands on him, Zac Robinson gets his hands on him, and we see where he's at now. Nobody's talking about Matthew Stafford slowing down anytime soon. So let's look at the offensive comparison. And this isn't just Stafford to Carr. This is the Rams offense versus the Saints offense, So in the points per game, 23.7 to 23.6. Pretty close. The yards per game, 362.9. New Orleans, 337.2. The yards per play at number 5 in the NFL, 5.7 for the Rams. And at number 20, it's 5.1. Just a 0.5 difference is the difference between number 5 and number 20 overall in the NFL. The third down percentage favors the Rams. The red zone percentage greatly favors the Rams. So you see on your screen the numbers. Look at what Look at what Zac Robinson, has been able to do as the passing game coordinator. We're going to dive into some specific passing stats and some advanced analytics, but I want you guys to do me a quick favor. we're going to take 10 seconds to tell you about our live show on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So I hope to see all of you guys there. We're going to be talking some offseason news and rumors. I'm going to go through my perfect offseason plan. We're even going to get into a mailbag where you guys get to ask me anything about the New Orleans Saints, and I just get to give you guys my take. It's all 100% free. It's all interactive, and it's all a ton of fun. So I encourage you to subscribe and join us for tomorrow's live coverage. You know, it's going to be very similar to our watch parties. So the New Orleans Saints and the Rams offense, you kind of saw a quick little glimpse right there. Actually pretty close. They're actually pretty similar and a lot closer than you think. And, of course, you go back to some of the numbers of the red zone percentage and the third down percentage. Those are very drastically different. But when you look at the advanced analytics, it's actually kind of interesting how close these two teams are. So you have the number 17 pass play percentage versus the number 20 pass play percentage in Los Angeles. Now, in LA, they also had 7.1 yards per pass, which ranks 6th. Now, 1 whole yard per pass more ranks 17th in New Orleans. And the pass yards per game, 245.6. That ranks number 6 in the NFL. The pass yards per game in the boot, 234.7, which is good for 11th. And then the QB sack percentage, they're number 7 and number 6. So it's pretty similar. Of course, there is some drastic differences, but I do think that there are more similarities between these two teams. In both offenses, you have an experienced veteran quarterback who knows how to win in this league and who knows how to dice up a defense. I mean, if you're a quarterback in the NFL for 10 years, you're doing something right. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're doing. You clearly have an understanding of the game. So I think both teams, experienced veteran quarterbacks. Now, both teams also have young dynamic weapons. You got Puka Nacua and Tyler Higbee over in Los Angeles, not to mention Cooper Kupp is also a stud in his 7th or 8th year. But then in New Orleans, you got guys like Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, A.T. Perry. I mean, you got some young, dynamic, interesting weapons that can really make an offense be explosive. Now, both teams also had pretty solid protection from the offensive line. You saw it by the sack percentage, 6th in New Orleans, 7th in Los Angeles. Those are both top 10 pass protections. That's pretty solid if you ask me. And then the time to throw, I thought this was actually pretty cool. 2.69 seconds time to throw. Stafford, 2.68. That comes in from Next Gen Stats, so if you guys want to go and fact check me and go double check that, it is 100% accurate. These two guys ranked in the top 10 in time to throw, and they are 0.01 away from each other, which is pretty interesting. So the Saints, here's my take. They did all of that with Pete Carmichael at the helm. Could you imagine the production and the success that this offense would have under Zac Robinson? If you were able to do all of that without a ton of pre-snap motion, without a ton of creative plays, without a lot of, not personality, but a lot of unpredictability is, I guess, what I'm saying. That is pretty interesting to me. If you bring in a guy like Zac Robinson who can implement and plug in some of those things, this offense is already in a pretty good spot. I think that they actually could be in a lot better of a place. So I need you to sound off for me, Saints fans. Do you want to hire Zac Robinson as your next OC? Just give me a simple H for hire. Give me a P for pass. I'm going to be in the comments section seeing what you guys have to say. I can't wait to interact with y'all. Let me know. Would you hire Zac Robinson? All right, so some housekeeping tools and some housekeeping news just kind of around the team and around the NFC South. Nick Underhill reporting a little bit ago that Brian Greise and Klint Kubiak have also interviewed for the Saints offensive coordinator job per source. So that is pretty interesting, and I think that those two are really good names to keep in mind. So Klint Kubiak, we've talked about him briefly on the channel before. He's helped develop Brock Purdy, and he's very experienced. He was a quarterbacks coach and pass game coordinator over in Denver, and then he was the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach over in Minnesota, and he is a part of the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, and that offense always is intriguing, and I'll call a spade a spade. It may have made Brock Purdy, who is Mr. Irrelevant, look kind of like an MVP candidate. Christian McCaffrey, he was looking like an offensive MVP candidate. I mean, he's really, really good. Those offenses are firing on all cylinders, and they are great units. So I think Klint Kubiak would be another home run hire. Now let's talk about Brian Greise because he has a very interesting profile. So he was a quarterback in the league from 1998 to 2008. He played with Denver, Miami, had a couple stints, I believe, with Tampa Bay and then Chicago. And then he also worked at ESPN from 2009 to 2020 covering college football. And then he switched over to Monday Night Football in 2020 and worked with covering them from 2020 to 2022. And then in 2022, he joined San Francisco as a quarterbacks coach under Kyle Shanahan. So both of these guys are Kyle Shanahan products. You also have Zac Robinson, Sean McVay product. I'm okay with either one. I'm personally very happy with all of them. Those are the best two trees you can pull from in the modern NFL. Go and get somebody from those two trees. I absolutely love it. But let's take a look at some other housekeeping news. According to a source, Michael Rothstein tweeted out that the Falcons are putting in slips for a second in-person interview request for the Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and their defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. Now, it's worth noting that these interviews can't take place until next week. So let's take a look at some possible head coaches for Atlanta. So here's just the top 4 guys. He's really good, really good, really good, really good. So, yeah, Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson. Arguably one of the smartest football families in the Harbaughs. You have Jim Harbaugh might leave Michigan to come to the NFL. He would be really, really dangerous in Atlanta. Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest NFL head coach of all time. Hasn't been that great since Tom Brady left, but he's still a great football coach. I don't think there's Brady without Belichick, and I don't think there's Belichick without Brady. Both of those things can be true at the same time. Aaron Glenn, a really hot commodity, a really hot name for the defensive-minded guys. And then Ben Johnson, for all you greedy son of a guns who love offense and who love just crazy things on the offensive side of the ball. Ben Johnson could be headed to Atlanta, so worth noting on these. And lastly, the Panthers have hired their GM. Khai Harley is safe. He is in New Orleans. At least he's not headed to Carolina. That's really what it is. He's not headed to Carolina. He still could go leave for another GM job or something. But Panthers were a big one that were interested in Khai Harley. So they have hired Dan Morgan as their president of football operations / GM. So worth noting there. All right, if you made it to the end of the video, I want to give you guys the opportunity to earn a shout out during our live show tomorrow. Type real one because it's a real one roll call. So if you guys made it to the end of the video, prove that you are a legend. Prove that you're a real one by giving me a real one in the comment section. And as always, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. We'll see you tomorrow.